So I just finished a class with my 7th graders, and it was a really great class. It went really well. They shared with me some of the things that were stressing them out from last week, and I kind of went through some troubleshooting solutions for them. Last week we did all work on study skills and how to be a good middle school student. So we were just kind of like relating that to their stressors and how can they be proactive and get the help that they need instead of shutting down. A lot of times in middle school, the students, their self-esteem is a big deal, and they don't want their teacher to think that they don't know what they're doing. So asking for help in a remote setting is a challenge. Getting students to understand it's okay to ask for help is a big deal. So I'm really trying to make them feel safe with my 7th graders, because I had them last year already. It's easier for them to believe me when I say it's okay to need help with things. Last year, as 6th graders, they were a little less likely to help, but now they know me. So, but it can be a challenge for them, like especially if they have more than one class where they don't understand. They start to feel bad about themselves if they have to ask several teachers what's going on. So I'm just really trying to set the tone for them to know that there's gonna be questions, and questions are good, and questions mean that you're learning. So what I'm doing now is I have to update my Canvas page. I've been getting a few questions, and you might hear beeps in the background. There's one. Students are asking me questions about the work from last week now, because I have students on different cycles right now, because I basically gave them a module to do. The module didn't say days of the week. It said day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. So if I have, like my 7th graders, for example, Monday is day 1, but tomorrow I have 6th graders. So all my 6th graders, they're on a different cycle. So their day 1 is Tuesday, their day 2 is Wednesday, their day 3 is Thursday, day 4 is Friday. And then I'm doing day 5 with them, which is like my assessment day. We voted as a class on how to do our day 5. Every single one of my student groups got to vote on how they wanted to do it, because I do like live Kahoots and Quizlets and things like that, or they can do it as a challenge on their own time. And so I let them tell me how they wanted to do it. Every single group voted they wanted to do it live, but I'm obviously offering an option for students who can't make it or don't make it for whatever reason to be able to do it on the side, so I can still see how they're doing. Anyway, long story short, the day 5 for the 6th graders is going to be the first 10 minutes of my class the next week. So that's how that is working. But for my 7th graders, we did a Kahoot live on Friday. And then the next week, this is life. I'm getting a phone call right now. I can't answer this. So this week was all about how to middle school, basically. And I was really talking to the students and developing the concept that success is not about just being smart. Success is about organizing yourself, working hard, and persevering. That's what I was trying to develop last week. So 4 things, and this came from the Friday Institute. They had a class on remote learning, but if you did not sign up for it already, and you're not in this cycle of it, they'll offer it again later. But they offer a lot of the videos and materials that they're putting in their class as like separate things that you can access on their site. So if you go into the Friday Institute and you type in like remote learning, you can pull up videos and different things. And I watched the video on teaching how to like do executive functioning, which is like organizing themselves, paying attention. All these 4 things were mentioned in there. Getting started on a task, remembering things, and you know, prioritizing. So day 1 is on attention skills. They had to watch a short video on paying attention and like the different ways that you have to pay attention, like during class and also like when you're doing your work independently. Then there was a task which was to look at this word search. They had to make a copy of it and then take out of trash. That's so weird. Okay, make a copy of it, and then they were going to look through the word search, which they can view if they go to Zoom 100%, which I always put my instructions over here in a box so that when they first open it up, it reminds them, hey, I know this is small, but if you zoom, then you can see it at the right size. So they read the instructions first, then they zoom in so they can do the activity. They had to count the letter C's in this word search, which, you know, is going to be kind of annoying for them. But it mimics the type of concentration they would have to do another task that where they would be doing a lot of tracking, for example, reading a New ZLA passage or something like that, which it's good for them to focus and think about how they're focusing. So I told them to use a notebook. When we had our class, I talked about it. Use a notebook. Just check mark every time that you lose focus and then come back in here on your own copy. Click and move over however many check marks that you need to show how much you lost focus. So then they shared those with me so that I could see, and they had to do a Padlet. So over here, I did a funny thing. This was me, my inexperience and not thinking. I was like, oh, yay, QR codes. And sometimes, you know, it's like we use things because they're cool. And then we think it wasn't the best idea. So this was one of those aha moments for me. I was like, here's a QR code, scan it. Okay, but the kids are working on their Chromebooks, right? So in order for them to scan it, they have to have a separate device. And not all my kids are going to have separate devices. A lot of them have cell phones, though. So I did say to them, cell phones not required for this class or any class in middle school. But if you have one, open your camera and scan it. So many of these kids, they are on Snapchat, and Snapchat, I'm not going to say how I feel about Snapchat, but Snapchat has, when you open the camera, it also scans and will take you to a QR code. So they can do it through most like new cell phones, Android or iPhone, but they can also, I put the link in here. So once I realized that how many kids were not going to be able to get in, I just put the link in so they could go to my Padlet. And the directions are right here. How did you feel when doing this? How many check marks did you use? And describe how this can help you maybe pay attention for later. So then all the different things are on here. This morning in my class, I had students go in and read my feedback that I gave them. I took time to give every kid feedback, and then they had to comment on 2 other students, so that I'm setting the tone for discussion is two-way, between you and I, and also between you and other students in the class. That's something I really wanted to set right away. Okay, so moving on. Day 2 was how to get started with the task or jumper cables. There's a very short video. All my videos are under 5 minutes for these activities. For task, they had to take notes on this copy, which is something that kind of frustrated them at first, but I taught them how to do it. So now they know how to do it. this is where I created the PDF. Let's see if it's doing this for me. Okay, so all of my activities, they have to make their own copy. And if everything's working the way that it's supposed to in a perfect world, their copy will be editable. So up here after the hashtag, the little, not hashtag, but the little forward slash, it says edit. It says edit, that means that they can type on this. So here are the directions once again. They're going to type notes from the video, whatever they learned about how to stop procrastinating. So in order to do this, they have to click View, Zoom 100%, and now they can scroll up and down with this bar. They can scroll from one side to the other with this bar. And then I showed them how, like, they need to look for their cursor. So like when they do that, see how that box is coming up? I layered this with the text box. And when they make their own copy, they can type in their own text box. So if they start typing right now, it's right there like that. And it's also at the same size that I was doing. But I had to show them how that they can highlight, they can change the size of what they're typing, they can hit the tab keys, they can hit the enter keys, they can, click over here and type on this side. So I had to show them and let them play around with it a little bit. So that they would know like how to get down there, how to type down there, that kind of thing. You can also do it to where you set it up where if you want kids to type like in certain places, I could have made a text box for here, for over here, for over here, for over here, for over here, each place that I wanted them to type. But because it was open and they were making notes however they wanted, every student was going to be different, and I wasn't sure like where they might all try to type, so I just left it as one big text box and let them like play around and move around on the page for practice. If I was doing something that was more like question and short answers, I would probably make a text box for each answer and say type text here, so they could see where the text box was. So when they click on the type text here, the text box comes up. And so let me show you an example. Insert text box. If I put a text box right here like that, I can make it have an outline if I want. The way I would do that is up here, border color, and then border width 4 point. It looks like it automatically did it for me. Type text here. So now when the student sees type text here, even if I didn't have the border on there, like let's say I remove the border. Let's go in and let's do transparent border. So now you can't see it, you can only see type text here. But when I click on that, the box opens up and they can type their answer right there. It takes longer to set up as a teacher, but it's a little easier to navigate as a student instead of having to hit enter and tab. So, a lot of times if I'm doing something like this, I might actually do that to make it a little easier for the students. They're learning, so we just played around with it the first time. And then peer review, the students had to, I showed them in class during last week's Zoom how to share with each other and type in each other's names, and then how to make a comment like this that would show along the side. And I taught them how to write I noticed and I wonder. I noticed would be their positive that they're giving the person. I noticed you put a lot of detail into the section about your schedule. I wonder if there's anything else you might add to the bottom question number 3. Okay, that's just an example of a comment. Click comment, now it's on the side. And I was explaining to them the importance of commenting onto the side instead of typing actually on someone's work. So I kind of encourage them to share it with other people and allow them to comment instead of allow them to edit, because if you allow them to edit, some students, not all of them, especially 6th graders, just because they're getting used to middle school, and they still have some of those like playing around, but it depends on the personality of your class too. Sometimes you get kids that are like practical joke kids and they think it's fun to like mess with each other's work. I had to talk to them about that, like don't ever mess with someone else's work if you get editing rights by accident. And this is a guide that They didn't have to turn anything in for this, but I was looking at their comments that they make because they share with me. Hold on. This explained to the students how to be a good reviewer of other people's notes. So share your notes with another student and follow the directions. That's what I gave them in Zoom for editing, giving each other editing rights or commenting rights. Type your comments in the comment box, not on the notes. Use I notice and I wonder. And we practice this a little bit in our Zoom class for a few minutes. So that's what that is. And I would just give feedback based on the comments that I saw or give verbal feedback to the students in my Zoom. That was day 2. Day 3 was super easy for the students. They watch a very quick video about memory, working memory, and also short and long-term memory. Then they had to play 2 of these games of their choice. So it was kind of a menu board of games that helped them find out how well they do with memory. Basically, just paying attention to it makes them more aware. Day 4 is the one that my students had a lot of questions on, that I'm starting to get 8th graders asking questions on. We'll probably get more questions on that tomorrow, so I'll probably do a video to explain it a little bit better. But basically, this is the Eisenhower matrix I was talking to you about. And this is talking about how to eat a frog, which is basically do your thing that you're not looking forward to first in the morning and get it out of the way. It's a 1-minute video. And then this is how to prioritize tasks effectively with an Eisenhower matrix. So this video is it just, let me see how long it is. It's 3 minutes. How to prioritize tasks effectively, get things done. This is what it looks like. It's from Ways to Grow. I'll link it in the description box down below. To hit the description, to see the description box, it's not actually the comments. Click my title under my video, and then the description that I put in there will come up, and everything that I link is in there. So I'll link this. It's a really good one. It shows you, shows your students how to decide between urgent and important things, and fill out this 4-box matrix with their to-do list. So like I said, I really like it. Trying to see if I can get one. Shows them what goes in each box, and they can do it on paper. So this is basically what it looks like in a nutshell, and it's teaching kids to prioritize tasks, which I find it nice to use for myself even. But what I was going to show you was, hold on, over here, the practice, this takes you to Creately, and you have to create an account the first time. I'm going to sign in with Google because I already have an account, and I have to make sure that I'm in the correct one. So here's an Eisenhower matrix that can be editable. Reload. It says your changes are saved. We recommend reloading the app. So I'm just reloading like this. Okay, so then upgrade. Make sure you tell your students they don't have to upgrade, because if they upgrade, it's going to cost. But if you click edit, oh, I need to look at this. It says you don't have permission to edit. I'm not sure why. But anyway, and that's what I'm getting questions on. I need to check and see if it's even going to let them do it. I thought I had typed in it before. I was pretty sure I had typed in it before. Recent. Go back. Huh. Add a document. Let me see. And these are the different types. Like this is graphic organizers that you could use in your classes. Let me find one. Decision matrix. I don't know if that's the same as an Eisenhower matrix. Pest analysis. I think we have to click use This might be something I actually need to do a video on for my students. It looks like there's an engineering one, there's a product one. But these are great because these are teaching kids like real life skills that they can use in business. And a lot of our students may end up being like fishermen or farmers, but these are ways of organizing themselves that they could even use on their home computer that could help them. All right, let's see if it's in this education one. Cluster chart, T-chart. Look at all these. This is so awesome. I have not really had time to really play around with this a lot, but look, there's compare and contrast. There's a storyboard one. If you wanted students to plan something like a comic strip or something, they could do it in storyboard, or it's so awesome. That's it. So I don't know why. I wonder if that Eisenhower matrix was an upgrade only. I thought it was free. I think it would be strategy and process. Let me try decision matrix use. Maybe later. Yeah, oh no. Yeah, do it now, decide when to do it, delegate it, or delete it. So this is something I need to show my kids how to go in and select the template that they need, where to find it, and then they can type in here and it allows them to add text like this, decide how big they want it. So I'm gonna have to do a video on that next. So yeah, so then going back to, that was day 4. Day 5 is my live Kahoot that I did, and my 7th graders decided to do it on Friday mornings. Probably 3/4 of my kids actually showed up on Friday for it, and I was okay with that for one class only. I didn't want to do a bunch on Friday mornings because I have a lot of other things that I end up doing on Fridays. My 6th graders decided to do it at the beginning of their class each week. And so I told them, don't worry about day 5 until we get to our next class. And my 8th graders, I'm doing on Wednesdays at 11 with both of my groups together at once. So I only have to be there for one live Kahoot. If they miss it, they can click here, and there's the game pin, and they can do it as a challenge, which in Kahoot you can set it as a homework, and they can do it on their own time. So the nice thing is that that takes them there. They have to put in the game pin. If I go to Kahoot down here and I sign into my teacher side, log in with Google, choose my school email, then I can go to Kahoots or reports. Continue to reports. So this is my challenge. It says ends in 5 days. That's how you know that that's the one that I set that they can do on their own time. But this one right here is one that I did live. So when I click it, 56% was my class average for the kids that showed up. Only had 5 kids show up to that, so not as many as I thought. You know what? I think some of my kids played it together, like they were at each other's houses and they played it together, if I remember. So then it'll tell you which questions were difficult, which ones they needed help on, which is really awesome because then you know exactly which kids, and you can actually break it down, which I'm not going to do right now because of privacy issues, but you can break it down by student and you can see which ones they had difficulty with specifically. Then you can go into the question. You can see the percentage for each question. So as a teacher, this is amazing for deciding what you need to remediate with the whole class on and what you might just need to go back and touch base. Like for example, if they got 80%, I'm good. Like my class learned that, we're at mastery level there. I might be seeing who is in the 20% that didn't get it, But when I have like 60% or 40%, then that's an indication. And even like down here, I have 20%. Right there, I need to go over this for the whole class. Or maybe it's something about the way that the question was worded too. And the kids need some help with the vocabulary of the question, like the testing strategy and not the actual content. That's what you have to determine. But Kahoot's wonderful for these reports. And the kids are always like, some of them, they'll be like, they won't finish and they'll log out. And then I had a kid ask me today, well, how do you know which ones I did? And I was like, because on the teacher side, I can see everybody. And I make them write their own names in there so I know who it is. It's not like some random, like, I'm like, you can have fun with your name, but make sure that your first name is in there somewhere in your handle so that I know it's you. So, great tool. That's my Friday. And there's a ton of them already made on here, or you can make your own if you decide that you have time, which I don't feel like I have a lot of time right now because I'm working on these things, which are important. So, what I'm doing today, and I already showed my 7th grade class how to do this, is I am doing an activity on what is a scientist. And the way that I'm doing it is I'm having kids research this week. We use HMH, Houghton Mifflin, and we have Think Central for the middle grades. And so for us, like when I go in here, I go into my Think Central and I went over how to log in today because we haven't done anything on our online textbook yet, but I wanted my students to remember how to log in. So 7th grade, now tomorrow I have 6th graders and I'm going to have to teach them how to log in, which is totally different. Go to science, and this is an amazing resource that Houghton Mifflin has. This is my student edition, so I'm going to go to the student edition. And when they log in here, they have, this is their textbook for Module A, which is about cells, reproduction, and heredity. This is like another site that takes them to Sciencesaurus. This is different language glossary. This is a regular glossary. Pictures that go and video that go with what we're learning. But then this one right here is what I'm focusing on. This is amazing. When you click into this, it takes you to all of these scientists. I have people with disabilities in here. I have scientists from modern times. I have scientists from previous times. I have women in science. I have, Black scientists. I have Mexican scientists. I have scientists from all different backgrounds and all different types of things. This one is like a chef, and they have to think about how there's science involved in, keeping food safe and in nutrition. So what I'm having students do this week is very simple. Each day, they are going to read about one scientist of their choice. I am hoping, although I didn't require it, that my students will choose people that when they look at these scientists, they see themselves in some way. But I didn't limit it for anybody. They can go to whatever scientist they want. I didn't tell the girls that they had to open up at least one woman or something like that. I'm just hoping it'll just happen because of curiosity. But it's going to be interesting to see who they pick. I told them not to just pick the first 3 ones that they see, to actually go through, find ones that they're interested in. And I did an example with them. And what I had them do was, I did the chef. Let me go down to chef. There it is. Okay. This is nice because it reads it to them if they want to. And so I read through it with them. And then I showed them how to take notes. Let me go to my Google Doc where I took notes. And my inquiry question was, what does a scientist do? And I want them to read about 3 different scientists this week and compare what these different scientists do and what makes them a scientist. So by the end of the week, they should be able to tell me, like, what qualifies something as a scientist, someone as a scientist, like what makes a person a scientist. So I talked to them about claim evidence reasoning, and I told them, you're going to find the evidence first, you're going to take notes, and then you're going to decide based on the evidence what claim to make. At the end of the week, we're going to wrap it up with some reasoning, and I'll do a video on how to do that. So I took notes. How's a chef considered a scientist? That was my question. And what does a chef do that makes them a scientist? And then as we read, I showed them how to take notes. Chefs know about nutrition and food. They know about preventing bacteria growth in your food and in your on the surfaces in your kitchen. They know how to prevent the spread of viruses also, since that's something in the news right now. Food storage is one class chefs take to learn how to keep foods at safe temperatures and in clean places. And that was my question. What does a scientist do? My claim, that is the answer to that, is based on my evidence, I would guess that scientists understand how the world works. They use this information to make things happen on purpose. For example, making healthy food by knowing how nutrition works with your body, or to keep things that are negative from happening. Example, they don't want bacteria to grow in their food, so they're going to keep it from happening based on a knowledge of what temperatures and conditions bacteria would grow in. So they're preventing that with their procedures. So students don't necessarily think of chefs as being a scientist field, but by doing this, they're examining, number one, different types of scientists from different cultural backgrounds and, male, female, different genders. So they're expanding their idea of what a scientist can be, but they're also understanding how science is related to everything. This group has already had my um, science is everywhere spiel, which I'll probably do with my sixth graders. There's a video that you can show students. I'll see if I can find it and link it, but it's a short video on science is everywhere, and it's I think Google did it, where there was like a project where students could sign up to show all the different types of science that was in the world, and then they did like a clips that are spliced together about some of these things. So pretty neat. Anyway, developing the overarching concept that science is everywhere. Being a scientist is different things in different places and different people, but there are some things that all scientists do, and that's what I want them to learn about. The inquiry process, basically. So that's what we're doing this week. At the end of the week, they will wrap it up with a claim, evidence, reasoning, response. I'm creating my Google Slides after I get off of here. That's what I have to do. Because I was supposed to do it already. I worked so hard on planning last week and wrote a bunch of things down and found things in different places, but I was also working on my PDP, which I don't know if everyone calls it that, but it's my goals for improving my teaching. I was having problems with the system last week, so I was fighting that. I was trying to solve a problem with the online textbook not working, but it's working now. And I was contacting parents, and students were sending me messages all day long, and I was getting stopped over and over and over again. So I don't have my Google Slides done because I could have worked on them this weekend for this module, but I just decided that I needed a break. So I gave myself a break. I spent time with my family. I did things from my community service that I do with our church, and so now I'm just making it work, and it'll be posted by 3 o'clock today. And my 7th grade group, they understood, and I got them started, so they're not behind. Nobody's behind. That's what I would say to you. You're not behind. Your students are not behind. I have to tell myself this all the time because I'm a perfectionist and I like things to be very organized. And it's like being unorganized is scary for me because I'll forget a lot of things if I'm unorganized. So I'm like hyper organized sometimes with school because it sets me up to do well if I'm hyper organized. But I can't always be because I don't always have the time. So today's one of those flying by the seat of my pants days. But I knew exactly what I was teaching. I knew why I was teaching it. I knew what my objectives were. I included socio-emotional stuff to support my kids. Everything's fine. The world is not going to collapse because I did not have my Google Slides done by 9 a.m. class. And it'll be there for kids today. So I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to work on my slides, and then I'm going to update Canvas with my Module 2 so that everything will be ready and I can take a big breath and go back and finish working on my PDP later today and do some more tutorials for Canvas. That's it. Sign it off.